The first signs of invasion arrived without warning. Crystalline ships larger than entire cities emerged from the darkness of space, their surfaces shifting with an impossible geometry that defied human understanding. Massive gravitational distortions rippled across the sky, turning clouds into swirling nightmares and causing electromagnetic interference that shredded communication networks in seconds. In Washington, the Global Defense Council watched in stunned silence as the first wave of alien vessels descended. Their technology was beyond anything humanity had ever imagined. Sleek, organic-looking ships that moved with a fluidity that suggested more than mere mechanical engineering. Each vessel seemed to breathe, to think, to exist as something more than a simple machine. Lieutenant Commander Sarah Reynolds stood at the central monitoring station, her hands moving across holographic displays with practiced efficiency. Years of advanced military training had prepared her for crisis scenarios, but nothing could have prepared her for this moment. The alien ships approached with calculated precision, their weapon systems charging with a soft, menacing glow that turned the sky an unnatural shade of purple. "Communication networks are down," reported a young technician, his voice cracking with tension. "Satellite communications, cellular networks, internet, everything is being systematically neutralized." The first strike came without mercy. Concentrated energy beams lanced down from the massive ships, targeting military installations with surgical precision. Entire defense complexes vanished in moments, not destroyed, but simply erased from existence. It was as if reality itself had been cut away, leaving nothing but a void where sophisticated military bases once stood. Global military responses were instantaneous but futile. Fighter jets scrambled from hidden airbases found themselves completely outmatched. Advanced missile defense systems became useless against technology that seemed to predict and neutralize threats before they could even be launched. The aliens moved with a strategic intelligence that suggested they had been studying humanity for far longer than anyone had realized. In Beijing, a research team watched in horror as their most advanced quantum computing center simply disappeared. The building didn't explode. It simply ceased to exist, leaving behind only a perfectly smooth patch of ground where decades of technological innovation had once stood. Dr. Wei Zhang, the center's lead researcher, could only stare in disbelief as years of work vanished in an instant. Military strategists had always theorized about potential alien invasions, but their scenarios never captured the terrifying reality of what was happening. This was not a war, it was a systematic elimination. The alien vessels moved with a cold, calculated efficiency that suggested they viewed humanity not as a potential threat, but as something barely worthy of consideration. Underground bunkers, long prepared for potential global catastrophes, activated their emergency protocols. Governments had spent decades preparing for various worst-case scenarios, but the reality of a true extraterrestrial invasion quickly exposed the limitations of human preparation. Communication became fragmented, with isolated pockets of resistance struggling to understand the scale of the attack. Ships descended over major cities around the globe. In New York, London, Tokyo, and Sao Paulo, massive vessels hung in the sky like impossible mountains. Their presence alone was enough to crush human morale. Advanced holographic projections began to appear, displaying messages in multiple languages, a clinical detached communication that made it clear the invaders saw humanity as nothing more than a minor obstacle to be removed. "Your civilization has been designated for comprehensive integration," the message read. "Resistance is mathematically improbable. Surrender is the most logical course of action." But something was happening beneath the surface of human society, something the invaders could not predict. In research laboratories, military bunkers, and hidden communication centers, individuals were already beginning to analyze, to plan, to resist. The first moments of invasion had been devastating, but they had not broken the human spirit. Sarah Reynolds looked up from her damaged console, a spark of determination in her eyes. The initial assault had been overwhelming, but something inside her knew this was far from over. Humanity had survived ice ages, world wars, and countless global challenges. This would be no different. The invasion had begun, but the real story was just starting to unfold. Deep beneath the ruins of a research facility in the Rocky Mountains, a network of survivors began to take shape. What had started as isolated pockets of resistance now formed a complex, interconnected web of human ingenuity and determination. The underground complex hummed with a quiet intensity. Banks of modified computer systems, salvaged equipment, and makeshift communication arrays created a nerve center of hope. Dr. Wei Zhang sat before a wall of holographic displays, his fingers moving with a surgeon's precision. The quantum computing specialist had managed to salvage critical research moments before the alien invasion destroyed his primary laboratory. Now he was rebuilding, not just equipment, but an entire strategy of resistance. "We need to understand their communication protocols," he muttered to a team of researchers huddled around him. Young scientists, military analysts, and technology experts from various disciplines worked shoulder to shoulder. The invasion had stripped away traditional hierarchies, leaving only a pure meritocracy of survival and innovation. Across the globe, similar underground networks were taking shape. In an abandoned subway system beneath Sao Paulo, a group of communication experts, led by Marina Silva, worked to crack the alien communication encryption. Their makeshift laboratory was a maze of repurposed satellite equipment, quantum decryption modules, and jury-rigged power systems. "It's not about matching their technology," Marina explained to her team. "It's about understanding their patterns, their logic. Every technological system has vulnerabilities. We just need to find them." Meanwhile, in a hidden military bunker beneath the Australian outback, General Michael Collins coordinated the broader resistance strategy. His team included survivors from multiple military branches, intelligence agencies, and scientific research institutions. Maps of global invasion zones covered the walls, with constantly updating information about alien movement patterns, technological signatures, and potential weak points. The first rule of asymmetrical conflict, Collins would remind his team, is that technology isn't everything. Adaptability is our greatest weapon. Back in the Rocky Mountain facility, Dr. Zhang made a breakthrough. By analyzing fragments of alien communication signals, he discovered something extraordinary. The Invaders' communication network, while incredibly advanced, followed a predictable quantum entanglement pattern. It was complex, but not incomprehensible. They relied too heavily on their technological superiority. We explained to Sarah Reynolds, who had become a crucial link between the scientific and military aspects of the resistance. Their communication systems assume absolute technological dominance. They don't anticipate adaptive responses. A young engineer named James Rodriguez had been working on a particularly audacious project. Using components salvaged from destroyed military installations and consumer electronics, he was developing a system that could potentially mimic and infiltrate alien communication frequencies. It was a long shot, but long shots were all humanity had left. The resistance was more than just a military operation. It was a global collaboration that transcended previous boundaries. Scientists from rival nations now worked seamlessly together. Military strategists who had once been opponents now shared resources and insights. The alien invasion had unified humanity in a way no previous global challenge ever had. In Tokyo, a team of robotics experts began developing adaptive drone technologies. Their designs were unlike anything in previous military arsenals, machines that could rapidly reconfigure themselves, learn from each encounter, and operate with minimal central control. If the aliens relied on centralized command structures, these drones would become a nightmare of unpredictability. Communication remained the Resistance's greatest challenge. The aliens had decimated traditional communication networks, forcing humans to develop entirely new methods of information exchange. Quantum encrypted messenger systems, repurposed satellite fragments, and even old-fashioned radio technologies were combined into a resilient communication network. They think they've broken us, General Collins would say during strategy meetings. But they don't understand human resilience. We've survived ice ages, world wars, global pandemics. An alien invasion is just another challenge. As night fell over the Rocky Mountain facility, Dr. John looked up from his work. The holographic displays showed fragments of alien communication patterns, each decoded segment a small victory. Outside, the world remained under alien occupation. But inside this underground complex, something remarkable was happening. Humanity was fighting back. Innovation became humanity's most potent weapon. In the underground research facility, laboratories that once specialized in competing fields now worked as a unified engine of creativity. Dr. Wei Zhang stood before a holographic display, watching as multiple teams converged on what could be their first true breakthrough against the alien technology. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. A team of materials scientists, working alongside quantum physicists and nanotechnology experts, discovered a critical vulnerability in the alien ship's adaptive shielding. Their approach was uniquely human, combining disciplines in ways the invaders could never have anticipated. Dr. Elena Rodriguez leaned over the primary research console, her fingers tracing complex molecular structures. What they had discovered was nothing short of revolutionary. The alien technology relied on a quantum-based adaptive shielding system that responded to incoming energy signatures. It was brilliantly designed, almost sentient in its ability to modify and protect. They've created a defensive system that learns, Elena explained to the assembled team. But learning implies predictability, and predictability means vulnerability. The breakthrough came from studying the molecular interactions at the quantum level. Traditional weapons would never penetrate the alien defenses, but by creating a material that could fundamentally alter its quantum state in microseconds, they could potentially create a weapon that the alien technology couldn't predict or adapt to. In a separate laboratory, James Rodriguez worked on the mechanical implementation of this theoretical breakthrough. His team of engineers had transformed an entire section of the underground facility into a precision manufacturing center. Salvaged equipment from multiple industries was repurposed, modified, and integrated into something entirely new. It's not about building a better weapon, James would tell his team. It's about fundamentally changing how we approach technological conflict. The first prototype was nothing like a traditional weapon. It looked more like a complex piece of scientific equipment, a sleek, almost organic-looking device that seemed to shimmer slightly when viewed from different angles. Inside, layers of nanostructured materials could shift and reconfigure at speeds beyond human perception. Meanwhile, global resistance cells began sharing information through carefully encrypted quantum communication networks. What started as isolated research became a collaborative global effort. Scientists in Sao Paulo would send quantum analysis to researchers in Tokyo, who would then forward modified designs to the team in the Rocky Mountains. Marina Silva, leading the communication research team, discovered another critical insight. The alien communication networks, while incredibly advanced, followed specific quantum entanglement patterns. By understanding these patterns, they could potentially create technologies that could temporarily disrupt or even hijack alien communication systems. They're treating us like a solved problem, Marina would say during strategy meetings. That's their greatest weakness. The nanotechnology team made another crucial discovery. By creating adaptive nanostructures that could rapidly reconfigure at the quantum level, they could potentially develop a defense system that was fundamentally unpredictable. Each nanounit could change its molecular structure faster than the alien adaptive technologies could respond. Dr. Wei Zhang saw the potential immediately. This isn't just a weapon, he explained to General Michael Collins. This is a completely new approach to technological conflict. We're not trying to match their technology. We're creating something they cannot comprehend. Prototype devices began to take shape. Small drone-like units that could shift their molecular structure, adaptive communication jammers that could reconfigure faster than any tracking system, and defensive systems that could literally change their quantum signature faster than an enemy could target them. The human approach was beautifully chaotic, a stark contrast to the alien invasion's clinical precision. Where the invaders saw technology as a perfect, controlled system, human researchers saw it as a playground of infinite possibilities. By the end of the week, the first batch of quantum adaptive prototype devices was ready for initial testing. The underground facility buzzed with a mixture of scientific excitement and strategic determination. They weren't just developing weapons, they were rewriting the fundamental understanding of technological conflict. "They think they know us," Elena Rodriguez said, looking at the first functional prototype, "but they have no idea what humans are capable of." Outside, the world remained under alien occupation, but inside this underground complex, humanity was preparing its first true response. Not with brute force, but with the most powerful weapon they had ever possessed: unrestricted human creativity. Psychological warfare became the next frontier of human resistance. General Michael Collins understood something fundamental about conflict that the aliens had completely overlooked. Warfare was as much about perception as it was about technology. The first psychological operation began with a carefully crafted communication intercept. Marina Silva's team had developed a method to not just listen to alien communications, but to understand their complex hierarchical language. Each transmission revealed more about the invaders' cultural structure, a rigid, almost mathematically precise social system that valued predictability above all else. "They operate like a massive, single-minded organism," Marina explained during a strategy briefing. "Each individual is a component of a larger system. Their strength is their unity. Their weakness is their inability to handle true unpredictability." In the underground command center, holographic displays showed intricate maps of alien communication networks. Small teams of linguists, psychologists, and communication experts worked tirelessly to decode not just the language, but the underlying cultural assumptions of the invading force. The first targeted psychological operation was elegantly simple. Using the quantum communication infiltration techniques developed by Dr. Weijon's team, they began to inject carefully constructed messages into the alien communication networks. These weren't straightforward communications. They were psychological triggers designed to create doubt and discord. James Rodriguez had developed a series of communication algorithms that could generate messages that would seem innocuous to an outsider, but would create subtle psychological pressure within the alien command structure. They targeted the invaders' belief in their own technological superiority, introducing microscopic seeds of doubt. In Tokyo, a team of experts began developing holographic projections that could be deployed remotely. These weren't simple military deceptions. They were complex psychological tools designed to exploit the aliens' rigid thought processes. Each projection was a carefully crafted narrative that would challenge the invaders' understanding of human capabilities. General Collins called it cognitive warfare, an approach that went beyond traditional military strategy. They weren't just fighting with weapons, they were fighting with ideas, with perception, with the fundamental way the aliens understood reality. The breakthrough came when they realized the invaders had a critical weakness in their communication hierarchy. Their system was designed to minimize individual decision-making, creating a centralized command structure that valued conformity above all else. Any deviation from expected patterns would create massive systemic stress. Marina Silva's team began to develop communication sequences that would trigger this systemic stress. Small, almost imperceptible inconsistencies were introduced into intercepted communications. Messages that seemed perfectly logical at first glance, but contained subtle contradictions that would only become apparent after extensive analysis. "We're not trying to defeat them militarily," Elena Rodriguez explained during a strategy meeting. "We're trying to make them defeat themselves." The psychological operations expanded. Holographic projections began to appear in occupied territories, not as acts of rebellion, but as carefully constructed narratives that would create confusion among the alien occupiers. Images that seemed to show human capabilities far beyond what the invaders believed possible. Communications that suggested a level of technological understanding that would challenge their entire perception of humanity. In the Sao Paulo underground facility, a team of artists and communication experts worked alongside military strategists. They understood that perception was the most powerful weapon. Each holographic projection, each intercepted communication was a carefully crafted piece of psychological weaponry. Dr. Wei Zhang's quantum communication teams developed methods to create communication ghosts, phantom signals that would appear and disappear, suggesting a level of technological capability that was just beyond the aliens' understanding. These weren't simple military deceptions. They were psychological landmines designed to create doubt and uncertainty. The aliens began to change their behavior. Occupation forces became more cautious, more hesitant. Their previously surgical precision began to show signs of uncertainty. Communication patterns became more erratic, more defensive. General Collins watched the holographic displays, a rare smile crossing his face. "We're getting inside their heads," he said quietly, "and they have no idea how to respond." Humanity had discovered its most powerful weapon, the ability to transform uncertainty into a strategic tool. Where the aliens saw a conquered species, they were now facing an opponent they could not predict, could not understand, could not control. The psychological war had begun. The turning point emerged from the most unexpected location. Deep within an abandoned military research facility in the Siberian wilderness, a small team of resistance operatives had been carefully planning their most audacious mission yet. Their target, a primary alien command vessel that had landed in a remote region, seemingly isolated and secure. Elena Rodriguez studied the holographic projection of the alien ship, her fingers tracing its impossible geometry. Weeks of careful observation, psychological warfare, and technological analysis had led to this moment. The ship represented more than a military target. It was a potential key to understanding the entire invasion strategy. James Rodriguez led the infiltration team. They weren't traditional soldiers, but a carefully selected group of scientists, engineers, and tactical specialists. Their equipment was a testament to human ingenuity: modified quantum communication devices, adaptive camouflage systems, and custom-built infiltration tools that could bypass the most advanced alien detection technologies. The approach was meticulously planned. Using the psychological warfare techniques developed by Marina Silva's team, they had created a series of communication disruptions that would temporarily blind the ship's defensive systems. It was a delicate operation, less an assault and more of a precise surgical intervention. "We're not just trying to capture a ship," James explained to his team during the final briefing. "We're trying to understand their entire technological ecosystem." As night fell over the Siberian landscape, the infiltration team moved with a precision that seemed to defy human limitations. Adaptive camouflage systems made them virtually invisible, shifting colors and thermal signatures faster than any tracking system could detect. The alien ship loomed before them, a massive structure that seemed to breathe with an alien intelligence. Dr. Wei Zhang monitored the operation from the underground command center, his fingers dancing across quantum communication interfaces. Every piece of data, every microscopic signal was being analyzed in real time. This was more than a military mission. It was a comprehensive scientific exploration. The first breach was almost anticlimactic. The team's custom-developed quantum communication disruptors created a momentary blind spot in the ship's defensive systems. Microscopic nano-infiltration units, developed by the materials science team, began to penetrate the ship's outer hull, not by force, but by literally shifting their molecular structure to pass through. Inside the ship, the team discovered a technological marvel that challenged everything they understood about advanced engineering. The interior was less a mechanical structure and more of a living system, organic computing networks that seemed to think and adapt in real time. Each surface responded to their presence, shifting and changing in ways that defy traditional understanding of technology. Marina Silva's linguistic analysis team began to decode the ship's communication systems. What they discovered was revolutionary. The alien technology wasn't just advanced, it was fundamentally different from human technological paradigms. Communication, computation, and physical structure were integrated in a way that blurred the lines between machine and living system. They don't see technology the way we do, Marina explained during a subsequent briefing. For them, technology is an extension of their biological existence. Every system is alive, adaptive, connected. The most critical discovery came from an unexpected source. A small data core, no larger than a human hand, contained what appeared to be comprehensive invasion protocols. Alina Rodriguez realized they had stumbled upon something far more significant than a simple military target. General Michael Collins watched the live feed from the command center, his experienced military mind racing to understand the implications. This wasn't just about collecting intelligence. This was about fundamentally changing humanity's understanding of technological conflict. As the infiltration team began to extract the critical data systems, the ship began to respond. Not with violence, but with a complex series of adaptive responses that suggested a level of intelligence far beyond what they had initially understood. The ship was learning, adapting, responding to their presence in real time. "We're not just gathering intelligence," Dr. Wei Zhang said quietly. "We're engaging in the most complex first contact scenario in human history." The extraction was successful, but it was clear this was more than a simple military victory. They had obtained something far more valuable than any technological trophy. They had gained a window into an entirely different way of understanding technology, communication, and existence. As the team prepared to leave the alien vessel, James Rodriguez looked back. The ship seemed to pulse with a strange, almost living light. They had struck a blow against the invasion, but they had also discovered something far more profound. Humanity was not just fighting for survival. They were on the cusp of a fundamental transformation. The captured alien data core triggered a diplomatic earthquake that reverberated across the entire galactic community. What had begun as a localized invasion of Earth transformed into a complex political crisis that challenged everything known about interstellar relations. In the underground command center, General Michael Collins watched as holographic displays tracked the rapidly evolving global response. The data extracted from the alien vessel was more than just military intelligence. It was a comprehensive window into the galactic political landscape. Marina Silva's linguistic analysis team worked around the clock, decoding the intricate communication networks revealed by the captured data. They discovered something extraordinary. The galactic political structure was far more fragile than anyone had imagined. The invasion of Earth was not a unified operation, but a calculated risk by a specific faction within a complex interstellar political system. "They're not a monolithic empire," Marina explained during a strategy briefing. "They're more like a collection of interconnected political entities. Our resistance has created fracture lines they never anticipated." Dr. Wei Zhang's team began developing communication strategies designed to exploit these newly discovered political vulnerabilities. Each transmission was a carefully crafted message that would resonate through the alien communication networks, creating doubt and internal conflict. The first external communication came as a shock to the galactic community. Using the quantum communication technologies developed by their research teams, humans broadcast a comprehensive analysis of the invasion. It wasn't a plea for help or a declaration of war. It was a clinical, almost academic dissection of the invasion's political and technological motivations. Alina Rodriguez oversaw the communication strategy. "We're not asking for assistance," she told the team. "We're demonstrating that we understand their system better than they understand themselves." Diplomatic channels began to light up. Other species within the galactic community, long suppressed or marginalized by the invasion force, started to take notice. The human resistance wasn't just fighting. They were exposing fundamental weaknesses in the existing galactic power structure. James Rodriguez developed a series of communication protocols that would broadcast their findings across multiple communication spectrums. Each transmission was a carefully constructed narrative that challenged the invaders' perception of humanity. They weren't presenting themselves as victims, but as a sophisticated, analytically capable species that refused to be conquered. The political fallout was immediate. Within the alien leadership structure, internal conflicts began to emerge. Some factions argued for complete elimination of human resistance, while others began to recognize the potential consequences of continued aggression. General Collins tracked the developing situation with a strategic eye. "We're not just fighting a war," he explained during a strategy meeting. "We're fundamentally challenging their entire political ecosystem." Diplomatic communications from other species began to trickle in. Some were cautious, some were curious, but all were fundamentally changed by the human resistance. The invasion was no longer seen as a simple territorial expansion, but as a complex political miscalculation. Dr. Wei Zhang's team discovered something even more critical. The invasion force had specific protocols for dealing with what they considered primitive species. Humanity's rapid technological adaptation and sophisticated resistance were completely outside these protocols. "They don't have a contingency for a species that can adapt this quickly," we explained. "Every response they've developed is based on previous conquest scenarios. We're writing an entirely new chapter of interstellar conflict." Marina Silva's linguistic analysis revealed deeper layers of complexity. The alien communication systems were built on a fundamental assumption of technological and cultural superiority. Each human response was systematically dismantling these assumptions. The galactic community watched in unprecedented tension. What had begun as a simple invasion was transforming into a complex political drama that challenged fundamental understanding of interspecies relations. Alina Rodriguez prepared the next communication burst. It wasn't a military transmission, but a comprehensive analysis of the invasion's political and technological motivations. Each word was carefully chosen, each transmission a strategic tool designed to create maximum political disruption. "We're not just fighting," she told the team. "We're rewriting the rules of galactic engagement." As the communication spread across interstellar networks, the political landscape began to shift. The invasion of Earth was no longer a simple military operation. It had become a critical moment that would define interstellar relations for generations to come. Humanity had transformed from a target of conquest to the central actor in a complex galactic drama. The political war had begun. The final confrontation erupted with a fury that would be remembered across generations. Earth's solar system transformed into a battlefield that defied every known principle of space warfare. The alien fleet arrived in massive formations, confident in their technological superiority, expecting to crush the last remnants of human resistance. They were wrong. General Michael Collins stood in the underground command center, a holographic representation of the solar system spinning before him. Every planet, every moon, every asteroid belt had been transformed into a potential weapon. Humanity's preparation was unlike anything the invaders could have anticipated. Alina Rodriguez's team had spent months developing adaptive combat technologies that rewrote the fundamental understanding of space warfare. The first wave of alien ships encountered something impossible, a defense system that was less a static shield and more a living, thinking entity. Quantum adaptive drone swarms launched from hidden bases on Mars and the moons of Jupiter. These were not traditional spacecraft, but complex systems that could reconfigure themselves mid-battle. Each drone was a small piece of a larger, distributed intelligence that could predict and counter alien tactical movements faster than any centralized command could respond. Dr. Wei Zhang's quantum communication teams had developed a revolutionary combat network. Traditional military communication relied on centralized command structures. The human defense system was fundamentally different, a decentralized, adaptive network where each unit could make independent tactical decisions while simultaneously contributing to a larger strategic vision. The first alien assault wave crashed against this defense like water against a complex, living barrier. Weapon systems that had conquered countless civilizations found themselves neutralized by technologies that seemed to anticipate their every move. Ships that relied on predictive targeting found their systems rendered useless by constantly shifting quantum signatures. Marina Silva's linguistic and psychological warfare teams had prepared something extraordinary. Communication systems embedded within the defense network began to broadcast targeted psychological disruptions. These were not simple jamming signals, but complex narratives designed to create doubt and confusion within the alien command structure. James Rodriguez had overseen the development of adaptive camouflage technologies that made human ships and defense platforms virtually invisible. But more than that, these systems could actively redirect alien weapon systems, turning the invaders' own technological superiority against them. The battle transformed the solar system into a canvas of technological innovation. Asteroid belts became mobile defense platforms. The moons of Jupiter were transformed into hidden launch bases. Every planetary body became a potential weapon, every piece of space debris a potential tactical asset. Quantum adaptive weapon systems created impossible geometries of conflict. Alien ships found themselves targeted by weapons that could literally change their quantum signature mid-attack. Defensive systems became living, thinking entities that could predict and counter threats before they fully materialized. General Collins watched as the battle unfolded with a strategic clarity that went beyond traditional military thinking. This wasn't just a defense, it was a comprehensive demonstration of human potential. Each tactical movement was a statement, each defensive action a message to the galactic community. The alien fleet began to break apart, not through traditional destruction, but through a systematic dismantling of their technological and psychological capabilities. Ships found their communication networks compromised, their weapon systems redirected, their tactical understanding completely shattered. Alina Rodriguez realized they were doing something unprecedented. They weren't just defending, they were fundamentally rewriting the rules of space warfare. Each tactical decision was a complex mathematical and psychological equation that the aliens could not comprehend. Quantum communication networks allowed for a level of tactical coordination that defied traditional understanding. Individual units could make independent decisions while simultaneously contributing to a larger strategic vision. The human defense was a living, thinking entity that was more than the sum of its parts. As the battle reached its critical point, something extraordinary happened. The alien fleet wasn't just being defeated, it was being systematically taken apart, analyzed, understood. Each destroyed ship became a source of new technological information, each defeated weapon system a learning opportunity. General Collins looked at the holographic display, a rare smile crossing his face. "We're not just fighting," he said quietly. "We're teaching them a lesson about what it means to underestimate humanity." The solar system burned with the light of 1,000 destroyed alien ships. But this was not a scene of destruction. It was a canvas of human potential, a demonstration of what could be achieved when an entire species refused to be conquered. The final confrontation was more than a battle. It was a statement. Humanity had arrived. The aftermath of the battle was unlike any first contact scenario in galactic history. Humanity had not just defended itself, it had fundamentally transformed the understanding of technological conflict and interstellar diplomacy. In the underground command center, General Michael Collins reviewed the final reports. The solar system was littered with the remnants of alien technology, each fragment a testament to human resilience and innovation. But this was more than a military victory. It was a declaration to the entire galactic community. Alina Rodriguez prepared the most important communication in human history. It wasn't a message of triumph or vengeance. It was a calculated, precise statement that would echo through the stars. The quantum communication network came alive with a transmission that would be studied for generations. Marina Silva's linguistic team had crafted every word with surgical precision. The message was simultaneously a warning, an invitation, and a profound statement of human potential. To the collective governing bodies of the galactic community, the transmission began: humanity extends neither an olive branch nor a declaration of war. We are offering understanding. Dr. Wei Zhang's team had embedded layers of communication within the transmission. Each layer contained not just words, but complex data packets that demonstrated humanity's technological capabilities. It was a multi-dimensional communication that could be interpreted on multiple levels: scientific, diplomatic, and philosophical. James Rodriguez had overseen the development of a comprehensive data package that would accompany the transmission. It wasn't just a record of the recent conflict. It was a complete anthropological and technological overview of human civilization, our history, our struggles, our potential for both destruction and creation. The galactic community watched in unprecedented silence. The transmission wasn't just a message, it was a comprehensive demonstration of human complexity. Species that had long been suppressed by the invasion force now saw something extraordinary. A civilization that had not just survived, but had fundamentally challenged the existing galactic order. General Collins understood the deeper strategy. This wasn't about revenge or conquest. It was about establishing a new paradigm of interstellar relations. Humanity was presenting itself not as a victim, but as a sophisticated, adaptable civilization capable of defending itself and offering genuine cooperation. The transmission continued, carefully explaining the technological and philosophical principles that had guided human resistance. It was a complex narrative that demonstrated how human diversity, creativity, and adaptability were not weaknesses, but profound strengths. We do not seek to replace existing galactic structures, the message explained. We seek to contribute to them. Our resistance is not an act of aggression, but an invitation to reimagine what collective existence can mean. Alina Rodriguez had ensured that every word carried multiple layers of meaning. The transmission was a diplomatic masterpiece that simultaneously warned of human capabilities and extended a hand of potential cooperation. Dr. Wei Zhang's team had embedded advanced quantum communication protocols that would allow for nuanced, multi-dimensional dialogue. This was more than a simple message. It was an open channel for genuine communication. Marina Silva's linguistic analysis revealed the profound depth of the communication. It wasn't just a human message, it was a comprehensive invitation to reimagine interstellar relations. Every word was carefully chosen to demonstrate human complexity. The remnants of the alien invasion fleet became silent witnesses to this transmission. Disabled ships hung in space, technological trophies that spoke of humanity's capabilities. But they were more than just defeated weapons, they were potential bridges to understanding. James Rodriguez had developed communication protocols that would allow for gradual, careful dialogue. The transmission included comprehensive data packages that demonstrated human scientific and cultural achievements. It was an invitation to understand, not to conquer. As the message spread across galactic communication networks, something extraordinary began to happen. Other suppressed species started to listen. The invasion forces' carefully maintained political structures began to crumble, not through violent conflict, but through the power of a single profound communication. General Collins watched the holographic displays, understanding the deeper strategic implications. This was more than a military victory. This was a fundamental reimagining of interstellar relations. The final line of the transmission captured the essence of human potential. We are not asking for your permission to exist. We are offering the opportunity to coexist. Humanity had transformed from a target of conquest to the architects of a new galactic understanding. The last warning had been delivered, not as a threat, but as an invitation. The stars themselves seemed to pause and listen.